The massive holographic display aboard the research vessel Archimedes cast an eerie blue glow across Captain Sarah Chen's face as she studied the ancient structure floating in the void before them. After 15 years of searching, they had finally found it, the legendary Guardian Array, humanity's last hope against the approaching Void Runner fleet. Structural analysis complete, Captain. Dr. Marcus Rivera announced from his station, dark eyes fixed on the streams of data flowing across his screen. The array appears to be composed of materials we've never encountered before. Energy readings are, well, they're off the charts. Sarah nodded, her short black hair shifting slightly in the artificial gravity. The Guardian Array stretched out before their ship like a massive geometric web, each intersection marked by crystalline nodes that pulsed with an inner light. Built by a long-vanished civilization known only as the Architects, it was said to be the most powerful defensive system ever created. "What's our timeline?" she asked, turning to Communications Officer Yuki Tanaka, who was monitoring the long-range sensors. "The Void Runner fleet will reach our solar system in 72 hours, Yuki replied, her voice tight with tension. "All Earth Defense Force units are mobilizing, but—" She left the sentence unfinished. Everyone knew Earth's military stood no chance against the technological superiority of the Void Runners. Sarah walked to the center of the bridge, her footsteps echoing in the tense silence. The Archimedes crew, a hand-picked team of archaeologists and military specialists, watched her expectantly. They had all seen the footage from the outer colonies, entire worlds reduced to ash by the Void Runners' quantum dissolution weapons. Earth would be next unless they could unlock the array's secrets. "Dr. Rivera, prepare the primary research shuttle. Lieutenant Cooper, I want a security team ready in 15 minutes. We're going aboard." Sarah's voice carried the weight of command, but also something else. Hope, perhaps, or determination. "Captain," Rivera interjected, "the energy patterns we're detecting. They're unlike anything in our database. We have no idea what kind of defenses the array might have." "That's precisely why we're here, Doctor," Sarah replied, checking the charge on her pulse pistol. "Earth's best minds spent decades decoding the architect fragments we found on Mars. This is what they were pointing us toward. This is what we've been searching for." As her team prepared for the expedition, Sarah's thoughts drifted to the classified briefing she'd received before departing Earth. The Void Runners weren't just conquerors. They were hunters, methodically tracking down and destroying any civilization that achieved faster-than-light travel. Humanity's recent breakthrough in quantum-fold technology had drawn their attention like sharks to blood in the water. The shuttle bay hummed with activity as the team loaded their equipment. Dr. Rivera's research instruments shared space with Lieutenant Cooper's tactical gear, a fitting metaphor for their mission, Sarah thought. Science and survival, discovery and defense, all wrapped up in humanity's desperate race against extinction. "All teams report ready, Captain," Cooper announced, his dark skin contrasting sharply with his white environmental suit. The former Special Forces operator had been skeptical when first assigned to a research vessel, but he'd proven invaluable during their search for the array. Sarah sealed her own suit and ran through the pre-launch checklist. As she worked, she could feel the weight of history pressing down on her shoulders. The Architects had vanished millions of years ago, leaving behind only fragments of their incredible technology. Now humanity's fate might depend on deciphering their greatest creation. The shuttle detached smoothly from the Archimedes, thrusters firing in short bursts as they approached the nearest node of the array. Up close, the crystalline structure seemed to shimmer with inner life, patterns of light flowing through its transparent surfaces like digital rivers. "Energy spike," Rivera called out suddenly. "Something's scanning us." Before Sarah could respond, a beam of brilliant white light engulfed the shuttle. She felt a strange tingling sensation throughout her body, and for a moment, the world seemed to blur around her. When her vision cleared, she realized the shuttle systems had all gone dark. "Status report," she barked, fighting down a surge of panic. "All systems are offline. Cooper replied calmly. "But, Captain, look outside." Sarah turned to the viewport and felt her breath catch in her throat. The array was changing. The geometric patterns were shifting, rearranging themselves like a vast puzzle solving itself. At the center of their field of view, an opening was forming, an entrance, beckoning them forward. "It's not just a defensive system," Rivera whispered in awe. "It's alive. Conscious." The shuttle systems suddenly hummed back to life, but the controls responded to an unseen hand, guiding them gently toward the opening. Sarah realized they had passed the array's first test, but many more would surely follow. The real challenge was just beginning. As they passed through the threshold into the array's interior, Sarah sent a silent prayer toward distant Earth. They had 72 hours to unlock the secrets of an alien superweapon, master its power, and save humanity from annihilation. The irony wasn't lost on her. Their civilization's only hope lay in understanding those who had vanished eons ago. The shuttle came to rest in a vast chamber that seemed to stretch forever in all directions, its walls lined with the same crystalline technology they had observed outside. As her team prepared to disembark, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, evaluated. The array had invited them in, but what price would it demand for its secrets? "Remember," she addressed her team, "we're not just explorers anymore. We're humanity's last line of defense. Whatever we find in here has to be worth the cost." The airlock cycled, and they stepped into the unknown, carrying the hopes of Earth with them. The chamber's crystalline walls pulsed with waves of blue light as Sarah's team made their way deeper into the Guardian array. Their footsteps echoed strangely, as if the space itself was listening to their presence. Dr. Rivera moved slowly, his scanner sweeping back and forth across the alien architecture. "These patterns," he muttered, more to himself than the others, "they're not random. It's like they're trying to tell us something." His fingers danced across the device's interface, recording everything they encountered. Lieutenant Cooper maintained a protective perimeter around the scientists, his weapon held ready. Though the array had allowed them entry, years of military training had taught him to trust his instincts. Right now, those instincts were screaming that they were being watched. "Captain," Yuki's voice crackled through their comms, "we're detecting massive energy fluctuations throughout the structure. Whatever this place is, it's becoming more active with every step you take." Sarah paused, studying the walls around them. The light patterns had indeed intensified, flowing more rapidly now. "Dr. Rivera, any progress on decoding these symbols?" Before he could answer, the floor beneath them shimmered and transformed. A holographic display materialized in the center of the chamber, showing a three-dimensional map of the Milky Way. Thousands of points of light sparkled within it, but many were dark, extinguished. "My God," Rivera breathed, "it's a record. Each light represents a civilization." He pointed to the dark spots. "These must be the ones the Void Runners have already destroyed." The hologram zoomed in suddenly, focusing on Earth's solar system. A massive cluster of red dots appeared at its edge. The approaching Void Runner fleet. Sarah felt her heart race as she watched the simulation play out, showing their inevitable arrival. Then something unexpected happened. The hologram shifted again, displaying a series of complex mathematical equations that spiraled through the air around them. Rivera rushed forward, his eyes wide with excitement. "This is incredible." The architects weren't just building weapons, they were trying to understand the fundamental nature of space-time itself. He began furiously inputting data into his tablet. "These equations, they're showing us how the array works." A deep rumble shook the chamber. Around them, previously invisible seams appeared in the walls as panels slid aside, revealing rows of crystalline pods. Each one contained what appeared to be a control interface, sized perfectly for human hands. "Captain," Cooper called out, his voice tense, "we've got movement." From one of the open panels emerged a figure of pure light, roughly humanoid in shape. It approached their group slowly, leaving ripples in the air with each step. When it spoke, the words formed directly in their minds. You seek our aid against the hunters. The being communicated. But are you prepared for the cost of such knowledge? Sarah stepped forward, her heart pounding but her voice steady. Earth will fall without your help. Whatever the price, we'll pay it. The light being seemed to study her for a moment. The array was not built as a weapon, but as a key to understanding the very fabric of existence. The hunters fear this knowledge. They destroy civilizations not out of malice, but out of terror of what they might become. More figures of light appeared around them, each one a different shape, suggesting the diverse species that had created the array. The first being continued. We did not vanish. We transcended. The array can grant you the power to defeat the hunters, but using it will change humanity forever. There will be no returning to what you once were. Rivera's scanner was going haywire, trying to process the incredible energies surrounding them. Captain, he said urgently, these beings, they're not holograms or recordings. They exist in a state of matter we can barely comprehend. Sarah felt the weight of the decision pressing down on her. They had found the means to save Earth, but the price would be the transformation of their entire species into something beyond their current understanding. Show us, she commanded, her voice firm despite her inner turmoil. Show us what we need to know. The chamber erupted with light as knowledge began flowing directly into their minds. Sarah gasped as she saw the true nature of reality unfold before her. The quantum threads that bound the universe together, the hidden dimensions that the architects had learned to manipulate, the potential that humanity had barely begun to grasp. Warning, Yuki's voice cut through their shared vision. The Void Runner fleet has accelerated. New arrival estimate, 36 hours. The light beings turned as one toward Sarah. Time grows short. You must choose. Will humanity remain as you are and face extinction, or will you embrace transformation and challenge the hunter's dominion over space and time itself? Sarah looked at her team, saw the same mix of fear and determination in their eyes that she felt in her heart. The array was offering them salvation, but not in the way they had expected. Not through superior firepower or advanced shields, but through evolution itself. The choice isn't just mine to make, she said finally. We need to contact Earth. They have to understand what we found here, what it means for all of us. Be swift in your decision. The beings communicated. The path to transcendence requires time, and the hunters will show no mercy once they arrive. As Sarah organized their return to the Archimedes, she couldn't help but wonder, had they just discovered humanity's salvation, or had they opened a door that could never be closed? The array pulsed around them, waiting for humanity's choice, while the Void Runner fleet drew ever closer to Earth. The Archimedes communication array strained to maintain its quantum link with Earth as Sarah delivered her report to the Emergency Defense Council. The holographic faces of Earth's leaders flickered before her, their expressions a mix of disbelief and fear as they processed what she was telling them. Let me be clear, Captain Chen. General Hammond spoke, his weathered face grave. You're saying these beings are offering to transform our entire species. Into what exactly? Sarah gestured to Dr. Rivera, who stepped forward with his findings. The architects didn't just master technology. They discovered how to evolve consciousness itself. The array is a gateway to a higher state of existence, one that operates on quantum principles we're only beginning to understand. The council chamber erupted in overlapping voices until Secretary Chen, no relation to Sarah, raised her hand for silence. And what of the billions of humans who might not want this transformation? Are we to force evolution upon our entire species? Before Sarah could respond, the ship's emergency alerts blared. Lieutenant Cooper's voice cut through the chaos. Captain, to the bridge immediately. The Void Runners. They're here early. Sarah's blood ran cold. How is that possible? We had 36 hours. They've developed some kind of new drive technology. Yuki reported as Sarah rushed onto the bridge. They're pushing their ships beyond anything we've recorded before. The main viewer showed the impossible sight. The first wave of the Void Runner fleet had somehow accelerated far beyond their previous capabilities. Their ships were like living shadows against the stars, their hulls seeming to absorb light itself. "They know," Dr. Rivera whispered. "They must have detected our activation of the array. They're not willing to give us time to make our choice." The light beings materialized on the bridge, their presence causing the ship's instruments to flutter wildly. "The hunters have grown desperate," they communicated. "They have sacrificed many of their ships to reach you sooner, burning their cores beyond safety limits." "Why?" Sarah demanded. "Why are they so afraid of this knowledge?" The answer came not in words but in visions. Sarah and her crew saw glimpses of the galaxy's history, of civilizations that had risen and fallen. The Void Runners had once been like humanity, curious and ambitious, but they had discovered something that terrified them. The realization that consciousness could evolve beyond the physical, that reality itself was far more malleable than they had imagined. Rather than face this truth, they had chosen to become hunters, destroying any civilization that might make the same discovery. Their fear had become their purpose, their mission to keep the galaxy locked in a state of limited awareness. "Multiple ships launching from Earth," Yuki reported, her voice shaking. "The defense fleet is moving to intercept, but against this many Void Runner vessels." Sarah watched the tactical display with growing horror. The Earth defense fleet was hopelessly outnumbered, their weapons barely scratching the advanced hulls of the Void Runner ships. They were fighting and dying to buy time. Time that was quickly running out. "We can't wait for consensus," Sarah decided, turning to the light beings. "How quickly can the transformation process begin?" "The array was designed to affect large populations simultaneously," they answered. "But the process must be accepted, not forced. We cannot transform those who refuse." A new transmission cut through their conversation. "General Hammond," his voice urgent. "Captain Chen, the Council has voted. Given the circumstances, we're authorizing you to proceed. Save who you can." The light beings moved into action, their forms spreading throughout the ship. The array itself began to pulse with unprecedented energy, its crystalline structure realigning to focus on Earth. "Broadcasting on all frequencies," Yuki announced, her fingers flying over her console, explaining the situation, providing the choice to every human receiving the signal. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Millions, then billions of signals began flooding back, people choosing transformation over extinction. The array responded, its energy washing over Earth in waves of impossible light. Sarah watched in awe as the transformation began. Those who had accepted the change began to glow from within, their consciousness expanding, connecting with the quantum fabric of space itself. The Void Runner fleet faltered, their weapons passing harmlessly through targets that were becoming something more than physical. But not everyone had accepted the change. Sarah's heart ached as she watched the readings. Roughly 30% of Earth's population had refused, choosing to remain as they were. The Void Runners, sensing vulnerability, began targeting these areas specifically. "We have to protect them," Sarah shouted, but the light beings were already responding. "The transformed will defend the unchanged," they communicated. This, too, is part of the evolution. The understanding that difference need not mean division. The battle for Earth entered its final phase, but it was unlike any conflict in human history. Those who had accepted transformation were becoming beings of pure energy and thought, able to interact with reality in ways that defied conventional physics. The Void Runners found their weapons useless against opponents who could shift between states of matter at will. Sarah felt the change beginning in herself, her consciousness expanding beyond the confines of her physical form. She understood now why the array had called to them, why the architects had left it as a legacy. It wasn't just about survival. It was about choice, about facing the unknown with courage rather than fear. As the transformation spread, the Void Runners began to retreat, their fear of the changed humans overwhelming their directive to destroy. But they left behind a galaxy forever altered, and a humanity that would never be the same. Sarah Chen existed in two states now, Her physical form still stood on the bridge of the Archimedes, but her consciousness expanded far beyond it, touching the quantum fabric of space itself. Around her, humanity was divided. Those who had chosen transformation were becoming beings of pure energy and thought, while those who had refused remained unchanged, watching the universe transform around them. They're regrouping, Lieutenant Cooper reported, one of those who had chosen to remain physical. His military training had made him hesitant to abandon the form he had relied on for so long. The Void Runner fleet is pulling back to the outer solar system, but their weapons are still trained on Earth. Dr. Rivera, now a shifting form of light and energy, interfaced directly with the array systems. Their fear is overwhelming, he communicated. I can sense it radiating from their ships. They're terrified of what we're becoming. Sarah reached out with her expanded consciousness, touching the minds of other transformed humans across Earth. Millions of voices sang in a vast quantum chorus, sharing knowledge and experience at the speed of thought. But she could also sense the uncertainty and fear from those who remained unchanged, their cities now shared between physical and energy beings. We need to find a way to coexist, she realized, her thoughts echoing through both physical speech and quantum resonance. This divide cannot be allowed to separate us. The light beings who had guided their transformation appeared again, their forms now clearly visible as the complex quantum structures they truly were. This is the true test, they communicated. Not the transformation itself, but what comes after. How will humanity handle becoming two distinct species? A message arrived from Earth's surface. Secretary Chen, speaking for the Unchanged. Captain, we're receiving reports of difficulties. Some of the transformed are having trouble relating to physical reality. They're forgetting how to interact with matter, with us. We need to find a solution before humanity splinters completely. Sarah focused her new awareness, studying the quantum patterns that made up reality itself. The array had given them incredible power, but it hadn't provided all the answers. That, she realized, was intentionally left for humanity to figure out. Dr. Rivera, she called, you once told me that the best solutions come from combining different perspectives. Let's put that theory to the test. Together, they began to work on what would become known as the Bridge Protocol. The transformed humans, with their ability to manipulate quantum reality, began creating interfaces, spaces where physical and energy beings could interact naturally. The unchanged humans, with their deep understanding of physical existence, helped design these interfaces to be intuitive and accessible. But the Void Runners weren't going to wait patiently while humanity sorted out its evolution. Their fleet launched a new kind of weapon, quantum disruptors designed to destabilize the transformed humans' energy patterns. They're trying to force us back to physical form, Rivera observed as the first attacks hit. They think if they can reverse the transformation, we'll be vulnerable again. Sarah watched the battle unfold with both her physical and quantum senses. The transformed humans were powerful, but inexperienced with their new abilities. The unchanged humans had military strategy and centuries of combat experience, but limited ability to affect quantum-level threats. Then she saw it. The solution had been there all along, in the very nature of humanity's split evolution. We don't need to fight as separate species, she announced, her voice carrying across all frequencies of existence. We need to fight as one humanity, each contributing what they do best. The strategy unfolded rapidly. The transformed humans created quantum shields around Earth's major population centers, protecting the Unchanged. The Earth Defense Fleet, guided by the quantum awareness of their transformed counterparts, began targeting specific weaknesses in the Void Runner ships that only physical weapons could exploit. Lieutenant Cooper coordinated the defense from the Archimedes, his tactical expertise enhanced by real-time quantum intelligence from transformed crew members. Together, they began pushing the Void Runner fleet back, their combined abilities proving far more effective than either form could achieve alone. They never expected this, Rivera communicated, his energy form pulsing with excitement. The Void Runners thought forcing us to choose between forms would weaken us. Instead, it's made us stronger. Sarah watched as the battle turned in their favor, but she could sense something else, a growing awareness among the Void Runners themselves. Their rigid fear of transformation was beginning to crack as they witnessed humanity not just surviving the change, but thriving through diversity. "Send a message to their fleet," she ordered, her consciousness reaching out across space. "Show them what we've achieved. Show them that evolution doesn't have to mean losing yourself. It can mean becoming more than you ever imagined." The message went out, carried on both conventional signals and quantum resonances, showing the Void Runners a vision of what they had been running from for so long. A future where change didn't mean extinction, where different forms of existence could complement and strengthen each other. The quantum resonance of Sarah's message rippled through space, carrying with it the truth of humanity's transformation. The Void Runner fleet hung motionless at the edge of the solar system, their weapons powered but silent. For the first time in their long history of hunting, they faced something they had never encountered, a species that had not only survived transformation, but had found strength in division. Energy fluctuations in their fleet, Cooper reported from his tactical station. Multiple ships are powering down their weapons. His unchanged human eyes met Sarah's luminous form with a mixture of hope and uncertainty. Through her expanded consciousness, Sarah could sense turmoil among the Void Runners. Their rigid hierarchy was fracturing as more of their kind began to question their ancient mission. The fear that had driven them for millennia was being challenged by the evidence before them. "They're sending a response," Yuki announced, still monitoring communications in her physical form. "Multiple channels, both conventional and something else." The message came not in words but in images and emotions, memories of the Void Runner's own past. Sarah and the other transformed humans saw their history unfold. A civilization that had discovered the possibility of transformation centuries ago, but had been torn apart by conflict between those who embraced change and those who feared it. In their pain and fear, they had chosen to prevent other species from facing the same choice. Dr. Rivera's energy form pulsed with sudden understanding. "They're not just hunters," he communicated. "They're survivors of their own civil war. They chose extinction for others to prevent what they saw as the death of civilization itself." A single Void Runner ship detached from their fleet, approaching the Archimedes slowly. Its hull began to shift, revealing patterns of light similar to those displayed by transformed humans. Inside, something was changing. "They're ready to listen," Sarah realized. She turned to Cooper. "Prepare a delegation, both forms. Show them what we've achieved." The meeting took place in the space between ships, transformed humans and Void Runners existing as pure energy, while unchanged humans and Void Runner representatives participated through advanced environmental suits. The array pulsed in the background, its ancient purpose finally fulfilled, not just as a tool of transformation, but as a bridge between different states of existence. The Void Runner leader, a being named Kethrax, spoke both physically and in quantum resonance. "For 100,000 years, we have carried the burden of our choice. We thought we were protecting the galaxy from chaos. Instead, we became the very thing we feared, agents of extinction." Sarah shared humanity's vision of the future, a galaxy where physical and transformed beings could coexist, each form bringing its own strengths and perspectives. The bridge protocol was already being implemented across Earth, creating spaces where both forms of humanity could work and live together. "Change doesn't have to mean loss," she explained. "It can mean growth, adaptation, finding new ways to be what we've always been, explorers, innovators, dreamers." Over the next few weeks, as Earth continued to adjust to its new dual nature, something remarkable happened. The Void Runner fleet began to change. Some of their kind chose transformation, guided by the array and humanity's example. Others remained unchanged, but now worked to protect and support all forms of life rather than destroy them. The array, its purpose served, began to power down. But before the light beings departed, they shared one final message. "You have succeeded where others failed. not because you were stronger or more advanced, but because you found unity in diversity. The galaxy is ready for what comes next. Dr. Rivera, studying the array's fading energy patterns, made a discovery that would shape humanity's future. The transformation process. It's not just a one-time event. It's evolving, adapting. Future generations will have the choice to change when they're ready, or to remain as they are. We're becoming something entirely new, a species that exists in multiple states by choice. Sarah stood on the bridge of the Archimedes one final time, her form shifting between physical and energy states as naturally as breathing. Earth shone below them, its cities now glowing with both artificial light and the quantum resonance of transformed humans. Void Runner ships moved peacefully among Earth's defense fleet, former hunters now becoming partners in exploration. "What now, Captain?" Cooper asked, still preferring his physical form, but now comfortable working alongside his transformed colleagues. Sarah smiled, both physically and in quantum resonance. "Now we do what humanity has always done. We explore, we learn, we grow. But this time, we do it together, in all our forms." The Archimedes turned away from Earth, heading toward deep space. Behind them, the array's light finally faded, its work complete. But its legacy lived on in every human, changed and unchanged, who looked to the stars and saw not a battlefield, but a frontier of infinite possibility. Humanity had not just survived its greatest challenge, it had transcended it, proving that true strength lies not in uniformity, but in the courage to embrace change, while holding on to what makes us who we are.